Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off your hot and cold water supplies. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the GE Washer Drive Pulley. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new drive pulley. The drive pulley is attached to the shifter assembly. The main reason to be changing it out is that the center hole is worn, causing the washer to vibrate. In order to get to the part, we have to take the washer apart. First thing we're going to do is go around to the back. Now that we're on back, we can take the fill hoses off. We're going to throw a towel down to catch any water that may come out. To get the fill hoses off, we're going to use our pliers to break them free. And then you can take them off the rest of the way by hand. You want to make sure you label them or remember which one is hot and cold so you don't mix them up. Once you have the hoses removed, we can pick up the towel and then we can use our 1/4-inch nut driver to take out the 3 screws that hold the control panel on. Now that we have the screws out, we're going to lift the control panel up. There's 3 locking tabs across the top that we have to unhook from. And we're not going to do anything with the control panel. We're just going to kind of set it down so it's out of the way and we can take the top off. Now we can take the front panel off. We're going to use a putty knife and go from the side. You can go in about 4 inches or right in line with the opening of the edge of the lid and then slide over a little bit. Push in, release the locking tab. And you can pull it out so it doesn't lock when it goes back in. Then we can do the other side. Once you have both tabs released, we can lift the lower panel off its mounting brackets. Once you have it off, you can set it aside. Now that we have the front panel off, we can take off the water level pressure switch hose. First thing we're going to do is remove this clamp. All you have to do is untwist this and pull the hose out. And then we can reach down and disconnect the hose from the air chamber. All you have to do is pull up on it and you can just let the hose hang there. Now we're going to take the wiring harness assembly off the motor. We have to remove the 2 outer plugs. There's a locking tab on them. You just have to press and release. Then we can grab our needle nose pliers and remove the 3 wire harness holders. All you have to do is squeeze the locking tabs and then you can pull the wire harness holder out. Once you have all 3 of them disconnected, we can grab our 1/4-inch nut driver and take out the grounding screw. Now that we have the grounding wire off, we're going to take the wiring harness from behind the support rod and just set it aside so it's out of the way. Now we're on the right side of the tub by the drain pump. We're going to disconnect the tub to pump hose. So we're going to throw a towel down to catch any water that may come out. And then we're going to grab our 5/16 nut driver and loosen up the clamp. Once you have the clamp loose, you can reach in and pull the hose off the tub. Once you have it off the tub, you can just leave it attached to the pump. We're not going to take it out, but you can pull the towel out. Now we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to remove these 2 screws that hold the top to the cabinet. Now that we have the screws out, we can pull the top assembly forward a little bit so it releases from the locking tabs. And then before we lift it off, we have to take off the lid switch. We're going to go underneath and release a tab so we can take it out. Once you have the top lifted up, we're going to take a flathead screwdriver and press in on this locking tab while pressing up at the same time so it goes up towards the lid. Once you have it released, we can set the top down so we can open up the lid and take the switch out. All you have to do is lift up on the lid switch and carefully pull on the other side so it releases. And then we can feed it down through the opening and leave it there. Then we can close the lid and lift the whole assembly off the washer. Now that we have the top off, we're going to take the console and rest it across the top of the cabinet so we can disconnect the water level pressure switch hose. We're just going to carefully disconnect it. Now that we have the hose disconnected, we can use our 1/4 inch nut driver to remove these 4 screws that hold this panel down. Now we can take off the end caps. There's a little locking tab right here that holds it to the back panel. So we're just going to lift up on that with a small flathead screwdriver to release it. Once you have it released, then we're going to slide the end cap forward to release the 2 mounting tabs. Once you have the mounting tabs out, you can pull it off the washer. This side comes out the same way. Now we can take the water level pressure switch hose out from this little hole right here. We're just going to feed it through. And then we're going to take the control panel, this mounting panel, and the back plate and carefully hang them over the side so we can work on the washer. Now we can use the 5/16 nut driver to take out the screws that hold the suspension straps on. Make sure you don't lose the washers. They'll come off together. Once you have the screw out, you can lift the strap off its mounting peg. The other 3 come off the same way. Now we can take the tub cover off. It's held in by a bunch of locking tabs. We're going to go around and lift up on them. But as you pull on the locking tabs, you want to push down right where they are so you compress the seal a little bit so the locking tab releases and you don't actually break it. Once you have all the tabs released, you can lift the tub cover off and set it aside. Now we can take the agitator out. We're just going to reach in and get our fingertips underneath it and lift up on it. If it's on there a little tight, you can rock it back and forth. You just want to be careful as you're lifting up that you don't hit yourself with the agitator. Once you have it off, you can set it aside. Now that we have the agitator out, we can take the coupler out. We're going to use a 7/16 inch socket with a ratchet to take it out. As you turn this, you're going to have to hold the tub and break the bolt free. Once you have the bolt out, you can pull the agitator coupler off the shaft. Now we can take the hub nut off. We're just going to use a spanner wrench with the adapter, and we're going to use a plastic hammer in order to loosen it up. It has reverse threads, so we're going to go clockwise to loosen it. Once you have it broken free, you can unscrew it with your hand. Once you have the nut off, you can carefully lift the inner tub out. You want to be careful. It's a little bit heavy, and if you have to, you can get somebody to help you. Once you have it out, you can set it aside. Now that we have the inner tub out, we can take the washer and the split ring off. If this is corroded on here or stuck on here, you can take a screwdriver and flex this to kind of open it up a little bit to make it easier to pull off the shaft. Once you have them both off, you can set them aside. Now we can take the suspension rods off. There's one in each corner. They all come off the same way. We're going to use a broom handle to knock off the collar. So we're going to lift up on the tub to take the tension off. You can knock it out so it comes off the frame. Once you have the first one done, we can go around and do the other 3. Now we can take the assembly out of the washer. It's a little heavy, so if you need to, you can grab somebody to help you. But we're going to lift up on the bottom and pull this out. And you can tilt it back so the tub doesn't hit the frame. Once you have it out, you can carefully turn it over and set it on the tub. Now we can take the belt off the pulley. We're going to use a flathead screwdriver to help lift it up. You just have to get between the belt and the pulley, and then you can turn the pulley and lift the belt off. Once you have it off, you can set it aside. To get the nut off, we're going to use a 3/4 inch socket with a ratchet, and we're going to use a hammer handle to block the pulley from turning so we can loosen up the nut. Once you have the nut off, we can pull the drive pulley off. If it's on there tight, you may have to rock it back and forth to get it to break free. Once you have it free, you can lift it off. Here's the old drive pulley next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at appliancepartspros.com. To put the new drive pulley on, all you have to do is line it up with the shaft and set it down. You want to make sure that the teeth go into the opening and the pulley sits all the way down. Then we can put the nut back on. Just going to tighten it down by hand. And then we have to torque this to 35 foot-pounds. So we're going to use our hammer again to lock the pulley into place. Then we're going to use our torque wrench to tighten it down to 35 foot-pounds. Once you have it torqued down, we can put the belt back on. Before we put the belt on, we're going to put the belt installation tool on the motor pulley. This will help hold the belt in place so it doesn't slide up the pulley as you're putting it around. Once you have it in place, we can put the belt on. You want to make sure you put the grooves against the pulleys. We're going to put the motor pulley on first, and then go around one side of the drive pulley. And once it gets to the point where it's tight across here, we're just going to hold it and stretch it out so it goes on like a bike chain. Once you have the belt on, we're going to take the belt installation tool off. Just have to stretch it apart and lift it off. Once you have the tool off, we can put the assembly back into the washer. To put the assembly back in the machine, we're just going to rotate it back in just like we took it out. Just want to be careful you don't damage anything, and get somebody to help you if you need to. Once you have it back in the machine and in place, we can put all the suspension rods back on. To put the suspension rods on, we're going to have to lift each corner up just like when we took them off. On this one, you want to make sure you lift this plastic clamp up and get it out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. Once you have it lined up on the frame, you can push it down and make sure it snaps into place. And then we can go around and put the other three in. Now that we have the assembly back on the suspension rods, we can put the washer and the split ring on. All you have to do is slide them down the shaft. Once you have them in place, we can put the inner tub back in. To put the inner tub back in, just going to carefully line it up and set it down onto the shaft. Once you have it in place, we can put the nut back on. Remember, when you put the hub nut in, it's reverse thread. So we're going to go counterclockwise to tighten it down. Once you have it tight with your hand, we can grab the spanner wrench and a plastic or a rubber hammer and tighten it down. You may have to hold the tub to stop it from spinning as you tighten it up. Once you have it tightened down, we can put the agitator coupler back in. To put the agitator coupler back in, you just have to set it down on the shaft and push it all the way down. Then we can put the bolt back in and tighten it down with a 7/16 inch socket with a ratchet. You have to hold the tub again as you tighten it down. When you're putting the agitator down onto the coupler, you want to make sure that these double lines right here, there's 4 of them, line up with the double lines on the agitator coupler. Once you have it lined up, you can push it down and snap it into place. If it doesn't go all the way down easily, you don't have those lines lined up, so pick it up and turn it a little bit. Now we can put the tub cover back on. To put the tub cover on, you want to make sure that the bleach reservoir is up here in the front left corner, and then you want to make sure that the tabs go on the outside of the outer tub so that when you push it down, they all lock in correctly. Once you have everything lined up, we can go around and snap all the locking tabs in. Once you have the tub cover locked in place, we can put the straps back on. To put the straps back on, all you have to do is line them up on their mounting positions, and then we can use the 5/16 nut driver to put the screws in. Now that we have the straps on, we can put the console back together. We're going to carefully lift up the console and turn it over so we can put everything back together. Once you have everything up here and situated, we can grab our end caps and put everything back together. To put the end caps on, we're going to put the locking tabs in and pull them back into place. And then we can lock the back panel in. Once you have the back panel in, we're going to set this metal plate across and line up the screw hole. And we can use our 1/4 inch nut driver to put the screws in. Now we can put the other end cap in. Goes in the same way. Now that we have the end caps on, we can use the 1/4 inch nut driver to put in the 2 back screws. Once you have the 2 back screws in, we can grab the water level pressure switch hose and route it through the mounting plate. And we can grab the console and move it closer and hook it up to the switch. Make sure you push it down all the way so you get a good seal. And we're going to rotate the console up and kind of set it out of the way so we can put the top back on. To put the top back on, we have to put the lid switch back on first. So we're going to kind of set the top down with the lid open and feed the switch up through the top. We can lower it down and grab the switch at the same time. Pull it through. Once you have it through, we can put this end in first and then snap this end in. Once you have it snapped into place, we can lower the lid and we can put the top back on. You have to make sure that this locking tab right here goes into the opening, and then when you push it back and lock it in, you drop it down and this tab goes into the opening on the top. Once you have the top in place, we can use a 1/4 inch nut driver to put the screws in. Now that we have the screws in, we can lift the console up and put it in place. You want to make sure that the tabs go into place, and then you can set it back. Once everything is lined up, we can use our 1/4 inch nut driver to put the screws in. Now we can reconnect the fill hoses. All you have to do is line them up with the valve and carefully thread them on. You want to make sure you don't cross thread them. Once you have it tightened down as much as you can by your hand, you can grab the pliers and tighten it down. Before we put the front panel back on, we have to put everything back on in the front. So we're going to reach in on the right hand side and attach the tub to pump hose. All you have to do is line it up and push it on. We got the hose in the tub wet, so it slides on easier. Once you have it pushed all the way up on the tub fitting, we can take our 5/16 nut driver and tighten down the clamp. Once you have it tightened down, we can grab the wiring harness and we're going to route it behind the suspension rod. Once you have it around the suspension rod, we're just going to go down and reattach everything. First thing is this mounting tab right here. You just have to push these in. Once you have all three of those in, we can grab our quarter-inch nut driver and put the grounding screw back in. Once you have the grounding screw tightened down, we can reattach the wires to the motor. Remember, the red one was on the right, the white one was on the left. Just want to push them up all the way so you get a good connection. Once you have the wiring harness reinstalled, we can reattach the water level pressure switch hose. To put the hose back on, we're just going to grab it and move the clamp up. Once you have the clamp up, we can just wrap it around it and twist it to lock it in place. And then we can attach the hose to the tub. All you have to do is push it onto the fitting on the air chamber. Make sure you push it all the way down so you get a good seal. Once you have that in place, we can put the front panel back on the washer. To put the front panel on, all you have to do is set it onto its mounting tabs. And then we can lift it up into place. As you lift it up, you want to make sure that the white pins go into the holes. And we can snap it in and lock it in place. Now that we have the washer put back together, we can turn the water on, plug it back in, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.